fight filmed right here in the iconic ProCam studios. ProCam for all your audio and visual needs. Guys, we have to wrap a interesting week of boxing, but before we do, my co-hosts as usual, Shotgun Shannon O'Connell, Joel Kamakaya Kamiliri. Shotgun, how are you?
I'm good, how are you?
Good, always get a giggling as I say her name. She just loves it. Kama, how are you?
Doing great, thank you.
So, wrapping the week's fights that we had, we were in Sydney at the ICC in Darling Harbour for Justice Huni versus Christian Tsoye and Isaac Hardman versus Rob Berridge. Now, everyone was a little bit concerned that in 3 weeks' time, Isaac's got to fight Emmanuel Carlos, and obviously Justice has got to fight Paul Gallen. As far as we know, both boys have come out of it unscathed. We were there for it. What are your takes on this, Shannon?
Well, I do have to, I guess, take back what I said last week about the tapering for a fight and stuff. You could clearly see in Justice's fight that they were basically, no, I'm not saying they didn't take the fight seriously, but it was sparring. The way Rocky was cornering it was pretty much like work on this, work on that. It wasn't about you're in a fight, win the fight. It was work on things, get the rounds out. That was, I guess, part of his fight prep for Gallen.
Absolutely fair to say, because there was only 80 people in the room, we could hear all the directions from the corner. We could hear Ben Damon clearly as day. But Justice got the rounds out, and by all accounts, they needed to use Christian Tsoye as a sparring partner. That fight established that. If they did hurt him, they probably wouldn't have kept him as a sparring partner. But your take on that fight night, Kama?
Christian Tsoye is tough as nails. Yeah, Huni was treated like a spar. It was like he was just hitting and getting out. But I think it was a smart move, because if you went to war with Christian Tsoye, even a head clash, that guy's got a hard head. He's hard to stop.
And those body shots were sharp as hell.
100% he could have stopped him at any stage that he wanted to, but he didn't engage. And Hardman not engaging as much as you would have expected against Berridge. I thought Hardman boxed a very smart fight to be fighting Emmanuel Carlos in 3.5 weeks and against a dangerous puncher. Obviously, that 5th round showed how dangerous of a puncher Rob Berridge is.
Yeah, I think actually that's probably the best I've seen Hardman box. Didn't try and kill, and it came. So, yeah, I thought his boxing skills were probably the most impressive I've seen.
Yeah, I think even like the instructions in the corner, because Blair said, one of the things he said was just use your feints. After his left hand, just lean back and throw the right hand. That right hand counter worked all day, and yeah, Berridge was a bit slow, and Hardman was making him miss, making him pay, so it was a well fought fight.
To Berridge's credit, he lost 12.5 kilos in 2 weeks. He took the fight on short notice. He made the weight. He hadn't been training, hadn't fought since 2018. He did what he had to do to get in there.
He's also not that weight when he was fighting.
No, he fights at light heavyweight, yep, and he came down to super middle. But he has grown up in his last 2 fights. He's no longer, he's definitely changed the way that he approaches the fight, and he's changed the way that he actually boxes now. So he's boxing. When you saw him box against Mark Lucas, he boxed. He didn't go chasing the knockout. He did say earlier that he was going to knock him out kind of thing in the 3rd round. But when the fight came, he realised that wasn't going to be the case, and he boxed out the fight, and he did the same against Berridge.
Yeah.
Justice, I thought, looked sharp. That jab, like, he's trimmed down, but he's faster now than he was before.
Yeah, he's fast. He's just fast.
You know, I was most impressed by those body shots. Like, they
ridiculous.
I was imagining myself copying those body shots. I don't know how Christian stayed standing.
Yeah, you'd see, like you'd make the noise for him.
That slip outside that right hand to that left of the body, like even Swizz was saying, that would have hospitalised him. So that being said, we're going to do a body shot challenge with Justice Huni and Swizz and see if that's correct.
That's one thing as well. Like I know we practice that a lot, like slipping inside but I mean, to be able to do it as freely and perfectly in a fight compared to training and sparring, like Justice he's the man.
I heard some of the media saying, look, he's getting hit too much. Justice was doing that to test himself, much like Ali did. He'd go against the ropes, he'd let Tsoye tee off on him, and he was testing his chin and testing his defence. Like you said, Shannon, he was treating it as sparring, and as such, he was learning and developing himself while he was in there.
Justice also slips punches by a fraction,
yep.
and people don't see that. Like they miss that close that they actually sometimes they look like they're hitting, but he's slipping a lot of those shots and just making them miss or taking the edge off their punches by a centimetre. I don't think as much as, he got hit. I don't think he got hit as much as people think he got hit.
There wasn't a mark on him, and a beautiful point made by the Queen there, Cammer. We actually made that reference exactly. He uses a swinging bottle, which he does one of his head movement drills with, and as it's coming past him, he can see it now so perfectly that it's almost like slow motion, and he can watch it go past. Very much like Tyson would with the swinging ball, He just knew where it was behind him, in front of him. He knew that rhythm and he knew where it was. And I think Shotgun's nailed it on the head there. That's exactly how he was playing his defence.
Yeah, but you got to also remember that he's preparing for the Gallen fight, but also the Olympics. So, like, I know back when I was fighting the amateurs, it was like a point scoring system where it was like one shot was 1 point, and now it's like you can break them down. So I found that the amateur guys are learning more body shots and body work. So if you watch his shots, he's boom, and he's out straight away. So it's kind of, you got to score as the amateurs, but then he's preparing for Gallen as well. So that's why I probably sat in the ropes and try to take the power a bit. So it's hard.
One point as well that I think was made, which I guess no one really thought of, is he's getting fights and he's getting rounds. None of the other Olympic team are. They're getting sparring, but their sparring's not fighting.
Stevie Sparks, you fought Kieran Cronin at super light. You fought Jack Brubaker, Brokeback, Mr. Entertainment at welter. Rumour has it that you're possibly fighting Tsoye and Hardman at cruiserweight.
No chance of that happening. No, all jokes aside, I am considering also a move up to super welter if it makes sense. I think dare to be great, and that excites me. I get excited for challenges like that. But there's a few fights I'm interested in Australia, and Darren Foley's also one back at super lightweight. I think that's one the Australian public wants to see and needs to see, and me and him both want it. We did send them a contract to fight here in Toowoomba, and they had that contract for 9 days, and they were offered more than generous money, more than double, for fights down there, and they never signed the contract. So don't know what's going on there, but that's a fight I do want, so I'm here waiting.
Mate, what interests you about the Darren Foley fight?
Makes sense. I think it's the only fight in Australia that makes sense. We all know Liam Parra's not going to get in the ring with me, so the next best is Darren Foley. And I get excited for fights like that. They think they can win, we think we can win. Well, let's see.
Yep. And has there been any communication between yourself and Darren?
Yeah, mate, we talk a bit online. We message each other. We don't like each other, so it makes it exciting for the fans too. There's going to be some good lead up if this fight ever does eventuate.
Mate, very good. So we're not going to cruiserweight. Did we want to stop at middleweight for maybe Hardman or super middleweight for Tapia? Or?
No, I'll leave that up to them boys. I'll stop at super welter, I think. Yeah, it's exciting. There's some big fights to be made, and I think this just shows the Australian public that there's some fights for me in all the divisions, and I can move up and down, and I just want to give people good fights. But like I said, the one that excites me the most is Darren Foley, and that's the fight we want.
Now, mate, I heard that there's a ham, cheese, tomato, and onion and mayo toasted hanger waiting for you.
Yeah, if I'm going to go to super welter, I'm going to have to eat 2 of them. I'm starving.
Stevie Sparks, thank you very much.
Cheers, mate. Thank you.
Brendan Smith, the King of the West. What is going on? Stevie Sparks, I heard, is fighting Tsoye and Hardman cruiserweight before possibly taking on Justice Huni after Gallen 2.
We're in deep discussions. We're just having a look at what makes the most sense, what makes the best fight and the most sense for him. So we're in no rush. He's young, he's doing great. He's come off a great fight with Jack. So we're just having a look at it all. We've really tried hard to make the fight with Darragh. It's just not happening at the moment, and full respect to them and why or whatever they don't want it. But so we'll have a look, and who knows down the track whether that comes back on the table or not.
Look, he's always been an exciting kid, but how much more available and marketable is he when he can go across 3 weight divisions?
Well, it's only just the beginning. He's only just coming on the scene. It's been a long-term development. And, he's growing up in here under all the pros, and, he's coming into his time. So he's hitting into his time now, and, he's out on the scene. So that was why we made the move with Jack Brubaker to move him to welter. It made sense, that fight, and he hit the scene in a big way. So, look, I believe in Stevie and where he's going and what he can do, and he's very television friendly, and we know what television friendly does.
You've also got an amateur tournament on this weekend. Tell us a bit about that.
Yeah, it's really good. It's really exciting, and the gym's buzzing. You know, we have 20 of our own young amateur boxers fighting on this event, and mate, they're really excited because we haven't had a show. We haven't done an amateur show since the COVID. You know, so they've been nearly 2 years since they haven't fought at home. So it's exciting, and you can just see the change in the gym since you know, we put this show on. They've all lit up, and they're really pumped. So the team spirit's really good, and you know, these are the things we have to do for the future of our sport. And you know, the young ones coming through, it's their time to shine this Saturday.
Chris George, the country wants to know, after your recent performance against Ben Marnie for the Australian super welterweight title, are you going to fight again? And if you do, who's it going to be?
If I do come back, it will be if the rematch is out there. That's the fight I'd like to have. You know, boxing isn't for me about like progressing anymore and trying to be a world champion or that, but you know, I'd love to get that rematch, get that revenge back. You know, that sort of thing does spark me a bit. So leading up to that last fight, I didn't realise, you know, how much work and how much life commitment goes into. I'd forgotten, you know, 3 years out, and I probably had 5 proper spars in the lead up to that fight. So you know, that's 3 years, and I had 5 spars, and that's what I did. So like, you know, another camp and another, you know, row of running and sparring and getting back there, I know I could perform a lot better. My hand speed wasn't as fast as I thought. So there's a few things I could go back and prove, which half entices me, you know, a little bit. But you know, I'm not out of the question of not going back either, you know. So it all just depends on circumstances, as boxing does.
There must have been something about that fight that, one, enticed you to come back to the ring, and there must be something about that rematch that gets you keen enough to be talking about it.
Yeah, that's it. Like, I think, you know, like you said, that I got the more support out of it. You know, unfortunately for Benny, he come out of that worse off. You know, it was probably the worst win you'll ever have. We've all had those sort of wins, you know, where they're not as good as the loss. You know, and so you know, I think the rematch is sort of, you know, it didn't make sense initially before the fight to think that there would ever be a rematch, especially if I lost. But the fact that, you know, it's very hard for him to move forward after that fight without, you know, making certain of it, that option's back on the table, and that's what's kept me, you know, sparked up and interested in that possibly could happen, because it does make sense now. Because, you know, you see every time he puts up a post, it's getting bombarded with the rematch scene. So that's, you know, it's hindering him, and so it sort of balls back in my court. I've got the upper hand a little bit. You know, he sort of needs me as much as anything, basically. So, yeah, that keeps the interest there.
What happens in the rematch?
Mate, it all depends on a lot of circumstances, you know, like time and how much, you know, information I have on when the fight is and whatnot. Yeah, if I get a full camp and I get back into it again, coming off what I've already got experience, like, I think I will improve a lot more than what he will. You know, I always said to people, like, you know, he was talking up all this new training camp, like, you can only improve so much, you know. If you're training all the time every day and you're 100% committed, that was the biggest fight of his career. From that moment, what he can fight in 6 months' time, he can't improve that much. But for myself, you know, confidence will be up a lot higher. Felt his power, know I can handle it, I can walk him down, you know, I'm strong, and a little bit more time will make it a different outcome.
What would be the result, do you think? You think it'd go the distance if you fought again?
I think this time it wouldn't. I think, you know, I'd stop him this time. I believe that I can get in his head this time and walk him down and break him bad. You know, last time I let him off, but I feel like they're going to need this fight to move forward. And, you know, if they want it, it's there.
Chris George, thank you very much.
Cheers, guys.
And Jackson John England fought on the weekend, got a couple of titles.
Yeah, you got the WBC Asia Boxing Council title and also the IBO Oceania Orient title. So, yeah.
He did indeed at the Thunderdome in Perth under the Tony Tolge banner. Another great fight night that they had there. A great looking stadium. We're going to have to get out there at some stage. But these titles he won at super featherweight, stacked division. Brock Jarvis has come up to super featherweight. Liam Wilson, Paul Fleming, you know, Bilal Dib, Billy Dib. It's a big division, Shotgun.
Yeah, that is a very big division. Hopefully those fighters can all fight each other and there'll be some great fights there.
With those kind of titles, where do you put Jackson John England in this conversation, Kama?
Well, I don't know. There's a few titles going around. I rank people on who they fight and who they beat. So he has to fight one of these guys like the Tarimos, the Bilal Dibs, the Liam Wilsons for me to be able to rate him in a certain level.
absolutely, we can't take Bruno Tarimo out of that conversation either, can we?
no.
The washing machine. Like, these fights are going to happen. Brock can't go back down to featherweight. He's at super featherweight now. We saw that against Nort Beauchamp. But there are some really, really tough fights in that division.
I think Brock Jarvis and Bruno Tarimo is the best fight to watch out of all those fights because they're both just all action. Who wins that?
Oh,
It's a hard one.
great fight. That's a great fight.
Yeah.
I'd say, look, I love Bruno, I really do, but I think Brock Jarvis wins that fight.
Yeah, so do I.
I think he's just, I think he's too big. I think Tarimo have to go a bit lower. Brock Jarvis is a big super featherweight.
Bruno is really good at what he does, but Bruno does what he does, whereas I think Brock would be able to Justice Huni him.
Justice Huni him. But it's a great fight. It's a great fight, Cameron, because you see Bruno come in and he comes and sits on your chest and he bridges that gap. He makes that distance quite easily. And Brock Jarvis is used to leaning on everyone, so they could fight that fight in a phone box. So Schliebs and Horse supposed to be fighting for the Australian Bantamweight title, which would have been a cracking fight down there in Melbourne on Team Ellis's fight night. Schliebs having to pull out because of an injury. Unfortunately, that was the main event for that fight. Like we said, hopefully the fight card goes ahead, but that fight won't be going ahead. As we move from there, we look towards Jamie Myers. He's got a fight night coming up this Sunday at the Sunshine Coast. Liam Pope is fighting for a Queensland title.
That's going to be a really good fight.
He's a great little fighter.
I think that Pope's in for a tough fight. I think that they wouldn't want to be underestimating him. Jay's done some really good things with Fabio.
So, Liam Pope's definitely going to be ready. Fabio Rosati's going to be ready. It's going to be a cracking fight. Josh Fredrickson's got a rematch against Tom Wilkinson, who
There's a girl fight too, Queensland title, Connie and Ruby.
There's the Queensland title between Connie Chan. He's going to be on there as well. That's a great little fight. And Taylor Robinson's going to be fighting for the Australian title as well. We caught up with Taylor Robinson at Eastside, and she had this to say before she even had the fight announced. Taylor Robinson just finishing up rounds with Beck Hawker, just ahead of her Australian title fight. Yep. You'd love to get a fight soon, wouldn't you?
Yeah, definitely, as soon as possible. I'm eager to get in the ring. Yeah.
Now, have you've changed up a few things in your own style, and you feel like you're ready to go?
Yeah.
Yeah, you want to light that 51 kilo division up, don't you?
Yeah, 100%. Fly, super fly. We definitely want to get back to the weight division that I was fighting in the amateurs, I guess. Stay low. But yeah, anyone in the division, I'm happy to fight. So.
Yep. And you're confident that you're going to make a big statement when you do fight any of these girls?
100%. Making a lot of adjustments in my camp on my strength. And adjusting to the professional style a lot more than the amateurs, but also maintaining some of the movement from the amateurs, trying to combine styles a bit more. But yeah, definitely ready for whoever I fight next.
Yeah, and if you do get this opportunity, you will make a statement?
100%, big statement's going to be made. Yep.
And you seem like you're vibing out pretty well with everything else that's going on in your life. You're always on social media and you're always looking happy, everything's looking pretty good. You must be in a good place.
100%, and just enjoying life. It's all about balance. I train hard and I enjoy life just as much as I train, so I don't see why I have to be 100% military. I train hard in the gym, and outside of the gym I maintain a balanced lifestyle, so yeah.
That's absolutely important. Now, have you got any messages for any of the girls in your weight divisions?
Yeah, I'm coming for you. I'm coming. I'm ready to take that top spot, so.
Taylor Robinson, thank you very much, and go get them.
Thank you.
So there you have it, Taylor Robinson wanting to make that fight happen, and now the opportunity's come forward, and I'm sure she's going to grab it with both hands. Obviously a pedigreed amateur, and now she's changed up teams, looking to take her career in a different direction, but only wishing the best for Taylor, and look, great to see her under the lights. Yeah, well, I was at the gym the other day at Eastside Boxing Gym, and there was Caitlin Parker, there was Sky Nicholson, Taylor Robertson. So they're all getting some great rounds, so I'm pretty sure she'll be in shape, nice and sharp. But who's the opponent she's fighting against? She's a kickboxer, so she'll be tough. I'm pretty sure Taylor Robertson will be too crafty for her. You have to think so, Shotgun?
Yeah, absolutely. Like, everyone knows kickboxers, they'll come at you, they're tough. And, pro boxing, that can make for a skilled fighter a hard fight. But I think that Taylor would have learned a little bit from the fact that she had a bit of a tougher fight last time, so she'll be ready for that. Oh, look, she'll make the adjustments. She's a quality fighter, and it's going to be great to see her under the lights again. So after the success of Futures Day 1, what an amazing segment that we had on last week's episode, we bring to you Futures Day 2.
said, we'll set up 5 rings and have 5 match spars going. You'll have an official or a coach on each ring.
There's a good chance you may be in and out as well, depending on our numbers. If we've got odd numbers, then you may have to jump back in again later. So even after you finish sparring, try and keep warm, stay nice and loose.
Coach, what are you looking for today in the sparring?
So the things that we went through yesterday, the different techniques to pick up and use, the feet underneath the body so they're more balanced when they're punching, and not the brawl. We want the boxing. We want to see them being technical out there and picking apart their opponents, basically.
Coach, what are we looking for today while they're sparring?
Mate, a little bit of everything. We're hoping to see a little bit of stuff we worked on yesterday start getting implemented into their fight game. They got a lot of good content yesterday, so this is where we see whether they actually absorbed it or not, or whether straight in, straight out. But they're looking good. There's some good matchups here today. So
The state's showing up. We got talent everywhere.
oh mate, 100%, mate. We've got so much talent coming up as well. You know that biting on the heels of our current elites, which is what this program is about. Keep pushing them forward, keep developing them, so that when the elites we have got step aside or turn pro, we've got some more coming up behind them. So.
Just to see if they're adapting to the different styles in front of them. Some of them haven't sparred each other before. We've got a different size or the different style in front of them and seeing how they adapt.
Room full of talent.
Yeah, it's been some good spars. They're evenly matched like a fight, so it's really good for them to be able to, and good for the coaches to be able to have a different style of opponent in front of them.
What instructions did you just give over, Shannon?
No, I was just saying, like, when you see body shots that come around, they don't hurt as much. So I was just saying, like, I want to see her sort of bring her body shots in more.
How good is it?
More like an uppercut to the body.
How good is it getting instructions from the Queen?
Oh, it's awesome. It's great. Love it.
Look up to her?
Yeah, heaps.
Mate, first round out of the way, how do you feel?
Yeah, it was alright. Gassed a little bit though. Like, yeah, it was alright.
What'd you do well?
Moved my feet well in the first 2 rounds. Last 2 I gassed and felt nothing. Yeah, it was alright though.
Good hearing instructions from the coach?
Yeah, he gave very good instructions. They all worked when I executed it, but yeah, it was good.
How were the first rounds of sparring this morning?
Yeah, they were good, man. Taking a lot away from yesterday, implemented today, so it's good to sort of use all the knowledge that I've gotten yesterday and implement that into my own sort of style, so yeah.
Good elite rounds.
Yeah, 100%. Everyone here is sort of best in the state, so, you know, always expecting you to have good rounds no matter who you're sort of throwing. So.
Is this part of the Mother's Day present that you bring Mum along so you get punched in the head?
No, he's a very good boy. He's already done the presents and everything this morning. He's done good.
Yeah, so a bit of perfume, some makeup and whatnot, so yeah, Mum was happy
Lots
this
of
morning.
makeup. Needs lots of makeup.
When you're getting the elite boys mixing it up together, obviously you're going to be mixing up the weights, but everyone's here to step up and look good. How are you feeling?
Yeah, I'm feeling pretty good at the moment. I feel like I'm somewhat impressing the coaches. Like I've always aimed to impress the coaches, and yeah, I feel I'm pretty good.
That's a winning attitude, Coach?
Yeah, for sure, mate. He's always impressing me, so yeah, it's just his job now to impress these top coaches. Yeah.
And how'd you pull up after yesterday?
Yeah, it was really physical yesterday, very long, but really enjoyed it. Focus on the technical side of boxing and try and improve our tactical and our technical, our skills. Yeah.
Dad, pretty happy with yesterday? Pretty happy this morning?
Oh, always grateful for things like this that help these young fellas improve.
Happy with the results for the weekend?
Yeah, absolutely. It's really good to see the kids stepping up with a lot of rounds. There's a couple of girls in there doing 6 and 8 3-minute rounds today, just pressing one after the other, and the fellas as well.
What a great weekend.
Mate, sensational. Yeah, a really good weekend, mate. Some hard sessions throughout the 2 days. So today was pretty tough. They had to keep backing up doing round after round. So it's good to spar them when they're a little bit fatigued as well, just to make them push that extra little bit. But plenty of heart, mate, plenty of heart.
Yeah, it was one of our biggest things from the start, is to make sure the program's known to the community so we can get the best athletes in the program and have the best athlete coaches involved in it and build a good little community, and we're starting to do that.
Mate, thank you for looking after our kids.
Thanks to Before the Fight. I love you guys.
Futures Day 2. Wow, these kids, amazing. Sparring, rising to the occasion. Even your boy got in there and got some big raps.
Yeah, he did good. He threw some uppercuts. What do you know? I've been telling that kid to throw an uppercut for 3 years now.
And then Coach Jamie Pittman tells him to throw it, and he throws it every time with success. What's that tell you?
While we're on the amateurs, a big shout out to Mick Daly on the weekend. Up at Gladstone, he didn't have a massive turnout of clubs nominate and wanting to obviously do the travel up to Gladstone, but holy shit, they put on a show up there. The atmosphere, Coop was the first fight, so obviously the atmosphere would have just kept getting bigger, but the atmosphere that they put on in Gladstone is amazing.
So, Shotgun, any news for you?
So there has, a lot of people have been talking to me about the rematch because, they've posted that there's a rematch. There have been
with Shanika, with Sugar Neek?
With Shanika, yeah. There have been talks of it. Nothing has been finalised. We don't even have a date. If we don't have a date by the end of this week, we're going to look elsewhere. So
there was talks of a title fight in Denmark and talks of possibly a mandatory for the Shannon Courtney fight in England, and this has all been happening in the last month and a half, yeah?
Yeah, absolutely. We have had a couple offers. The Denmark one sort of fell through because of the quarantining coming home. I've got a 2-year-old, so he's coming with me wherever I go because I can't quarantine without him.
And that's very difficult at the moment, Australia being the only country that's doing this 2-week quarantine. We
Yeah,
saw the interview
and I
with Eddie
guess as
Hearn
well-
yesterday. He was in 5 different countries in the last 3.5 days, so.
And I guess the hard thing is when you're getting made offers from other countries, they don't understand about our quarantining because they don't have to do it there. So, for me to quarantine, for Luke, for Steve, we've all got businesses, we've all got kids, and if the opportunity was big enough, then 100%. Hands down, I'd go. But at the moment, I don't want the rematch. But if it means that I don't fight, then yeah, I'll fight Shanika again.
If that fight does happen and you win again, that's basically the Zarafa Zoo question over and done with. There is no one left in this country. You've cleaned out the backyard and sometimes twice over. Fair to say?
Yeah, well, 100%.
Camel, news for you.
I want to defend my title. I want to win another regional title and get in the ratings. So any of these fighters at super welterweight who give me an opportunity, I will fight them. But for the right opportunity. I'm not just going to take some random fight. I'm not desperate. I'm supported well, and I know a fight will come up that's going to be worth grabbing.
So there you have it. The couch is even looking for fights here at the moment before the fight, and vocal about it too. I am definitely looking at the winner between Cody Kay and Brendan Bradford because everyone wants a shot at Ben Damon. So that's we're going to call that fight series the presenter. After that, we're happy to announce that we're going to have the announcer fight series where we start out with Stephen Payos versus James O'Shea. The winner of that gets Peter Rukas. There we have it, guys. Another great week of boxing. We now look towards what happens on the Sunshine Coast with Jamie Myers Promotions. The Boxing Shop have one coming up on the 19th of June where Rowan Murdoch and Jack Bowen are going to be getting in the ring. So we're looking towards that one. And obviously we have Huni versus Gallen coming up. And we also have Hardman versus Emmanuel Carlos. So there's a lot to talk about coming up. Another great show, guys.
Always a pleasure, mate, to be with you.
Oh, thank you.
And her too.
And her too. I'm Rob Scheif and you're watching Before the Fight.